Welcome to the Cyclical Doula Podcast. I'm Emma, a certified SymptoPro instructor, a fertility awareness educator, and your guide to fertility coaching and reproductive health education from menarche to menopause and all the different types of motherhood in between. If you're seeking a natural, science-backed approach to managing your fertility, understanding your cycle, or simply connecting with your body in a new way, you're in the right place. Each episode is designed to empower you with the tools, knowledge, and confidence you need to thrive in your unique journey. Quick disclaimer, this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice or individualized charting support. For specific guidance, please consult with your healthcare provider or fertility awareness instructor. Now, let's dive into today's topic.
Welcome to the space where cycles breathe, where the real raw life of a mama leads. From motherhood's highs to charting the low, your body's story is the star of the show. Matriarch hearts, cycles that speak, charting the truth in every peak. This is the cyclical doula sound, where body wisdom is always found.
Today, we're going to talk about questions that I've received about what it's like to work with me when someone's facing fertility challenges, or they've been trying to get pregnant for a while and they need some more help. And so they're asking how I can help. So this question comes a decent amount, right? Couples have been trying for a while and they reach out when they're feeling overwhelmed or stuck. They're just looking for something else. Maybe they've been trying to get pregnant for months or even years without clear answers. Maybe they've been told just relax and it will happen, or they've heard conflicting advice from friends and doctors and the internet. It's all a lot. So today, I'm going to walk you through what exactly it looks like to work with me. I'll share the steps we take, some myths I love busting along the way, and a few client stories that show how powerful fertility awareness can be, not just for getting pregnant, but for understanding your health on a deeper level. Let me start with the why. I do this work because I believe your body isn't a mystery, even though the world makes it feel that way. Most of us grew up with little to no real education around our cycles. We might have been told you can get pregnant any day of your cycle, which is both terrifying and inaccurate. Or maybe we were told nothing at all. Maybe we only learned by trial and error. For me, it wasn't until I started tracking my cycle with a fertility awareness-based method that I learned how much I didn't know. Those first few months of charting in detail were like turning on a light in a dark room. I finally understood why I felt different at different times of the month, how my body was quietly communicating what I needed, when my next period was coming, all of those things. And when I talk about charting, I don't just mean circling period days on your calendar. While that is helpful, charting in this detail is about understanding the language of your body, your temperature shifts, your cervical mucus pattern, and other subtle changes that tell us when ovulation is near, when it's past, and what's really happening hormonally. Another huge reason behind my why is that so many couples are facing fertility challenges that often have really simple solutions. If only they knew what was really going on with their bodies. Right now, the way our medical system is set up in our society, women are set up for confusion. As teens, we're told to go on hormonal birth control to regulate our cycles. Though, spoiler alert, birth control doesn't regulate cycles at all. It shuts down ovulation completely. And then when we come off of hormonal birth control years later, we assume we'll get pregnant right away. And when we don't, we're then quickly told to use IVF. But what if instead we paused and took a closer look about what's really happening within our cycles? What if we identified the best possible days for getting pregnant? What if we supported the body to sustain pregnancy well? And what if we addressed hormonal imbalances or lifestyle factors that make a huge difference? Now, that gives us a completely different perspective on what it means to support our bodies to get pregnant. Now, I'm not saying there's never a time or a place for medical interventions. There absolutely is. But for a huge portion of couples, what they need isn't a $10,000 procedure or a magical supplement. What they need is clarity about their own cycles, their own bodies, more body literacy. So, when we learn to track our daily fertility biomarkers like cervical mucus, basal body temperature, and hormonal shifts, we get a clear window into what's working and where we might need some support. And if charting doesn't give us any insight, that's actually a sign too. It tells us that something might be off, and that's when it's time to dig a little deeper with some more targeted testing to find the root cause. Now, as a certified fertility awareness instructor, my mission is to pass on this knowledge, especially to couples who feel like they're running out of options. When you see your fertility patterns clearly, you can stop guessing and start taking informed steps towards pregnancy. First step that I'm always going to suggest to you before working with me is a free 30-minute inquiry call. This is where we're going to talk about your story, your cycle history, your goals, your struggles. Maybe your cycles are irregular and you're not sure if you're ovulating. Maybe you just want to know what the best days are. During that call, we'll talk about questions like, what's your experience been so far? Have you tried charting before? Do you feel like you even understand when in a cycle you're fertile? I'll also share what my process looks like in detail and answer your questions. My goal here is never to pressure you. It's simply to see if fertility awareness is the next right step for you. And if working with me feels like that next right step. And if not, I have other resources that I can turn you to as well, or other fertility awareness instructors and educators who might be a better fit. If we move forward, we start learning the methods that I teach. And so we start both methods that I teach have 3 live learning sessions. Some of them are about like 90 minutes long and they're spaced out over a couple of weeks. So you have time to start charting in between them. I teach a sympto-thermal method, which is a science-backed approach that combines basal body temperature, cervical fluid observations in a couple different ways, and sometimes you could throw in things like hormonal testing, like LH. This gives us a crystal clear picture of when ovulation is taking place in a window and can reveal other important patterns like short luteal phases, which can affect implantation, um, irregular and delayed ovulation, hormonal shifts that may need attention, things like that. So, what does charting actually mean or look like? It's more than just tracking your period, like I said earlier. It's learning to observe and record your daily fertility signs. So, there's 3 main biomarkers that we use. The first one's going to be cervical fluids or cervical mucus. And your cervical mucus changes throughout the cycle. In the days leading up to ovulation, it becomes more stretchy, slippery, clear. And these are going to be your most fertile days. Checking only takes a couple seconds and often just means to paying attention to what your vagina and vulva feel like throughout the day. Basal body temperature, sometimes called BBT, is your resting body temperature, and it rises slightly after ovulation due to the hormone progesterone. So, taking your temperature every morning at the same time before getting out of bed helps us confirm that ovulation has occurred because we can clearly see that temperature shift taking place. Sometimes I'll also suggest things like LH strips or other small tools for extra clarity when trying to conceive. So, what does this look like on a daily basis? In the morning, you'll take your temperature with that basal body thermometer before getting out of bed. Throughout the day, when you go to the bathroom, you'll notice things that you feel or see when you're going in the bathroom on toilet paper, things like was cervical mucus dry, sticky, slippery, things like that. And then at the end of the day or throughout the day, you're going to just log in what data you saw. So you're going to log in what temperature you had and what mucus observations you made throughout the day. So it probably takes like 5 minutes total spread throughout the day of like very intentional work. But a lot of it's just mindfulness and building into this habit of thinking about what's going on. So these little observations add up over time. And by the end of your first cycle, you're going to be able to see your fertile window, exactly when sperm can survive and when ovulation likely occurred. And then as you continue to chart, you're going to feel like you're reading your own body's map. You're going to have so much more insight You can use this for so many different things. I often compare charting to learning a new language. At first, it feels like a lot of new terms, things like peak day, luteal phase, temperature shifts. But within a few cycles, couples start saying things like, wow, I can actually see when I'm fertile, or I see what's going on. I know when the best days to use are. So, right now, I teach two different options of sympto-thermal methods for my clients to have the best information for them. So, I teach a method called SymptoPro. I'm a certified SymptoPro instructor. This is a highly effective sympto-thermal method rooted in over years of research and instruction, and it focuses on combining those temperature shifts with cervical mucus observations to clearly identify both fertile and infertile phases. SymptoPro is also a Catholic organization, and its resources share those morals and recommendations in line with the Catholic Church teachings. I'm also in the process, as of recording this, of certifying with the Fertility Knowledge Collective. And the Fertility Knowledge Collective uses the same sympto-thermal foundation, but adds a slightly different approach to hormone tracking and cycle interpretations, meaning they like have different names and there's some slightly different rules around interpretation. But it gives clients even more flexibility and personalized insight. The Fertility Knowledge Collective's protocol is secular and completely science-based, and the resources reflect that. So when you work with me, you get best of both worlds. All of my training and certifications that I've done over the past years and my experiences with these certification programs add layers of insights into my work with you. So, in those learning sessions, you'll discover how to track these signs accurately, how to interpret your chart as a story, not just random bits of data, and how to use your chart to time intercourse for the best chances of fertilization. I offer these in one-on-one and group courses, depending upon how much support you want. And most sessions are done live online for convenience, but I'm happy to meet in person if you're local to the Charleston area. All right, I have a fun fact for you if you've never heard this before. So, did you know that sperm can only live for a few hours in a dry environment, but with fertile quality cervical mucus, they can survive up to 5 days? That means that you don't have to have perfect timing with the exact day of ovulation and intercourse. Instead, we use your chart to identify this whole fertile window and give sperm their best chance of getting to the egg. So, actually, using days up until ovulation is going to give you a better chance. Let me tell you a little client story. So, let's talk about, we'll give them names of Sarah and Matt. So, when Sarah first came to me, they had been trying for almost a year. She was tracking with ovulation testing strips, but they weren't getting any results with them. Through charting, we realized that she was ovulating later than the tests were showing or having any information about, and so her fertile window was being missed. And within 3 cycles of working together, they timed things accurately, and now they have a healthy little girl. That's the power of fertility awareness. It's not luck, it's about clarity. So, after the initial learning sessions, the real work begins. I'll guide you through interpreting your charts, spotting patterns, and troubleshooting. We'll meet every 3 to 4 weeks, and I'm available between sessions for questions via text or email. This is often the most helpful part because trying to get pregnant isn't just physical, it's emotional. And if a cycle isn't going the way that you hoped, I'm here to help you process that, adjust timing, and keep going with confidence. And if we notice red flags like consistently short luteal phases or spotting patterns that might suggest a hormonal imbalance, I'll give you guidance on what to bring to your health professionals. Charting empowers you to walk into their office with concrete data instead of vague symptoms. And while I don't order labs myself, I often guide couples on which tests to request from their doctor, or I can suggest direct to consumer labs if you want more insight into hormones or other fertility markers. If a partner's sperm testing shows concern, I can help couples focus on best timing and practices during that fertile window to give sperm the best chance of success. This isn't just about the data, it's about emotional support too. Trying to conceive can feel like a full-time job, and if a cycle doesn't go the way that you hoped, I'm there to help you process that frustration and keep going with a plan. There are so many myths around fertility, so let's bust a few right now. The first one is that you can get pregnant any day of your cycle. But in reality, there's about 5 to 7 fertile days in the cycle. Remember thinking about that lifespan of sperm, and if it can survive with fertile mucus up until ovulation, then that gives you about 5 to 7 days. The second myth is that ovulation always happens on the 14th cycle day. That could be so wrong for most people. So ovulation is completely dependent upon the woman and the particular cycle that they're in. And so it can happen earlier than that, later than that. It cannot happen for a super long time for some people in certain seasons of life. So ovulation can be delayed due to stress or illness. Things like postpartum changes can shift it significantly. Some people who have PCOS, their cycles are so much longer, and ovulation is definitely not happening on cycle day 14 for them. So, charting helps you give a really good idea of when ovulation happened. We can only know for certain if you have an ultrasound to see exactly which day ovulation took place, but having this knowledge, you get a pretty good idea of when it was to take place, and that can be really helpful. The third myth that I wanted to talk about was if you're not getting pregnant, something must be wrong with you. So truly, this is one of the most frustrating things for that I hear from people because fertility is a team effort, and a good portion of fertility challenges are related to male factors, and this is why I include partners in this process of talking about fertility stuff. But I also want to make a point that sometimes it's not really that something's wrong with you using those phrases, but it's more of just wanting, um, having the support that you actually need to be able to get pregnant and sustain a pregnancy. All right, let's have another little story from clients. So, we're gonna call them Anna and Jake, and they came to me after a miscarriage, feeling completely lost. Anna wanted to understand her cycle better before trying again. So we charted together for 4 months, and through the time that we were working together, we discovered that her luteal phase was on the shorter side, something that can make it harder for a pregnancy to stick. So she brought her charts to her doctor, got some additional blood testing, and started a simple progesterone medication to extend her luteal phase. And the next cycle, she conceived and she was able to carry a healthy pregnancy to term. For them, working with me isn't just about getting pregnant, it was about healing and gaining trust in her body again. So once you've completed a course with me, you're not on your own. You get lifetime messaging support from me. So even if you circle back months or years later with a question about pregnancy, about postpartum charting, or you switched into that perimenopause phase, you can reach out. I want this knowledge to serve you for a lifetime. So I will always be here for you. If this sounds like something that could help you or someone that you love, the first step is to schedule that free inquiry call. There's no pressure, no obligation. It's just a conversation. And the link is in my show notes, or you can go to emma.com/free, EMMAMMA.com/free. So, to the people who have asked me this question before, thank you for being the kind of person, the kind of friend who looks out for couples who might need some extra support. And if you're listening thinking this is exactly what we need, please know that you don't have to face this alone. Your body is not broken. You just need someone to help interpret the signs that it's already giving you, and you can do this all on your own. Thanks for spending this time with me on the Cyclical Doula Podcast. If today's episode helped you feel more connected to your cycle or empowered on your fertility journey, I'd love for you to share it with a friend or leave a review. It really helps this podcast reach more people like you. And if you're ready to dive deeper, join my free Red Circle community. It's where we go beyond the podcast with exclusive resources, live Q&A sessions, and support for charting, planning, and thriving in your cyclical life. Visit the show notes to join the Red Circle today. I can't wait to see you there. Until next time, keep listening to your body. It's telling you so much more than you realize.
Welcome to the space where cycles breathe, where the real raw life of a mama leads. From motherhood's highs to charting the low, your body's story is the star of the show. Matriarch hearts, cycles that speak, charting the truth in every peak. This is the cyclical doula sound, where body wisdom is always found. Matriarch hearts, cycles that speak, charting the truth in every peak. This is the cyclical doula sound, where body wisdom is always found. Matriarch hearts, matriarch hearts, cycles that speak, charting the truth in every peak. This is the cyclical doula sound, where body wisdom is always found. Matriarch hearts, cycles that speak, charting the truth in every peak. This is the cyclical doula sound, where body wisdom is always found. Matriarch hearts, matriarch cycles that speak, charting the truth in every peak. This is the cyclical doula sound, where body wisdom is always found. Matriarch hearts, matriarch hearts, cycles that speak, charting the truth in every peak. This is the cyclical doula sound, where body wisdom is always found.